Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to Tone Talks. How's everybody doing today? This is Attorney Antonio Moore coming to you from Tone Talks. Again, we're going to have this discussion and we're going to talk about Ebony Williams. I didn't plan on doing a show today, but my cousin sent me this clip. And I seen it going around and I started to ask myself, Black folks with little to no wealth saved in the middle of a banking crisis while we face artificial intelligence attacking jobs, talking about Ebony Williams and a bus driver. And as I dug into it, I realized it's because you guys don't know that some of y'all got a tinge of right wing in you. We're going to talk about it today and get this discussion going. You might not know that you a poor Republican. You a poor right-winger out there? I believe you don't have no context for what you're talking about. We'll have context by the time the show ends. Again, my name's Attorney Antonio Moore. I'm here to discuss the context and the problems with you being caught up in Ebony Williams talking about not dating a bus driver. Shout out to Iyanla for putting that in context. Wonderful job from you, sister. Now, as far as this black girl magic for the unemployed, I want to have this discussion. I want to have it in a responsible way, but I got to have it in this way where I talk about this in context of what we saw over the last few days. Would you date a bus driver debate royals social media and Ebony K Williams fires back on the LA Times. So we got Banks, Pac West, First Republic, and so many others crashing down. We have a jobless Uber driving set of young Black people. And we talking about this lady who was on Fox News, but we didn't know she wasn't on Fox News. So it's making us feel ignorant. So then we try to justify her being on Fox News, but we don't understand she also didn't have her license and that she had a repo man running after her. We'll talk about that in a second. But we ain't gonna date no bus drivers. Iyanla messed her up. I want everybody to also understand that she was speaking about this on the Griot, which is a Black news website bought by Byron Allen that was on my show. A Black news website using conservative talking points. I'll show you in a second what I mean. Trying to make it seem like she ain't talking about Black people and Black men in particular, but she's talking about Black men. You're on a Black news website. You're not on Fox News anymore. So as we get into this discussion, if this man is making $27 an hour in Black America, I don't see the problem with dating a bus driver. But she did, because he got to own the bus. We'll get to it by the time we get to the end of the show to show you how much a bus costs, which is about $500,000. So he got to have a $500,000 bus to date her, and she got the repo man chasing after her, and she got no license, and she was doing doc review, which is largely often contract work. Y'all done framed her in success. I want to talk about it. Would you date a bus driver? The exclusive one-on-one. Again, this was her show on the Griot. She wasn't a guest. So she got roasted on her own show by this wonderful sister in Iyanla, but with one question and stuck. Tried to play it off like she's super smart. But what I saw, and you can take it how you want to, was a little girl. I seen a 40-year-old little girl. I want to talk about it today. Please subscribe, share, press the bell, get into the discussion. 310-388-3499 is going to be the call-in, but we have to get through some context to be able to have a responsible conversation. Don't come to me talking about any kind of misogynism and sexual and attacks on feminism. This is a unbiased discussion about wealth, economics, race, and the like. But what I will tell you is it also is a discussion about politics. And if you, like Charlemagne, who I'll talk about in a second, have one unit in night school in U.S. history, you didn't understand what you even was talking about. The whole idea, what people like to do is play the game. I'm just speaking the truth. Well, if you got one unit in U.S. history in a night school in South Carolina, your truth ain't all filled up with a lot of understanding of facts. And that's Charlemagne. Fox News host Ebony K. Williams exits after challenging 4 years at the network. So a lot of people were sharing this and had no idea she had been at Fox News for 4 years. Ebony made a decision to leave Fox News at the end of 2018. So she was there from 2014 to 2018, excited to be pursuing new opportunities. A rep for Williams tells The Wrap. So she's there from 2014 to 2018 during Trump's years. And I said my initial tweet that I was going to leave it at, but then I realized we need to do a show, is people are debating the racial and economic opinions of a woman in Ebony K. Williams that was a host on conservative Fox News. She was a correspondent, then a host for 4 years. How many people knew she was a Fox News host for 4 years? In the chat. In the chat, please answer if you knew that she was a Fox News host for 4 years before you started debating her ignorance around dating a person with a regular job, basically. A black person in particular with a regular job. People will say, well, she said green, white, and yellow. That's the trick they use on Fox News. So Fox News, if you watch, they'll talk about race and then say, I'm not talking about a green, yellow, or white person. The problem is she was on a black news website, so she was talking about a black person. You have sites covering, somebody said, not me. Somebody said, I knew tone. Another person said, I didn't know. Another person said, nope. Another person said, I had no idea. So we are having a discussion about a woman that was on a conservative right-wing channel, the conservative right-wing channel of America for 4 years and have no context for that's where she's coming from. What are y'all doing out here? Can you Google what you're talking about before you get to talking about it? Because that'll answer a lot of stuff for you if you get honest. This is a statement of a woman judging a bus driver that had a job. When I left Fox, I had no job. That's the cost of disruption. Pause for a second. What she is doing is a model that I see far too often. What people think is that they're going to validate white right-wing rhetoric that attacks black folks and then introducing black empowerment through their own grifting. So they're going to get on the Real Housewives of New York with a bunch of white folks that are largely saying negative things about black folks and bad media about black folks. And then they're going to introduce some black empowerment and also agree at some points, we don't need that. We need you to go sit down. We need you to get your license together. We need you to stop talking about bus drivers not being good enough to date. I want to talk. You ain't no disruptor. You're grifter. You decide to use the wrong term. It's the grifter. The cost of disruption, and I'm fine with that, Williams said. I would rather take the financial consequence and get what God has for me. That's after you did the 4 years at Fox during Trump's era, and you think that you have the right to now speak on black employment, black issues. But we are having this discussion while Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, called on Congress to raise or suspend the debt limit so the U.S. could continue paying its bills. U.S. could run out of cash by June 1st. How many of you guys have a friend that shared this at some point last week or the last few weeks? How many of you guys have friends that are talking about the banking crisis on their Twitter timelines? How many of you have friends only talking about the Lakers and Doja Cat and this lady on their timeline? I need you to see it. I need you to understand it, because if you can't understand this, we can't do no politics, ADOS or not. We cannot help you get no reparations if you are a right-wing conservative, because you believe that you are your own answer in a country that had you as slaves and gave you no reparative justice. I can't teach you if you don't understand the language of letters. If you don't understand letters, how can I teach you sentences and paragraphs? I want to talk about Ebony Williams. We're going to get into it. We're having the discussion of Ebony Williams in the middle of a career apocalypse, they're calling it. 83 million jobs set to vanish globally by 2027. They're talking about AI, artificial intelligence. The second job that they're talking about disappearing was the post office job. The number one employer of black folks, I think we're 27% of the post office, is the post office. You guys are having unserious conversations to avoid your failure. And Ebony Williams needs to be fleshed out so you can see how unserious you are. So I will do that today. Y'all will correctly point out Tucker Carlson and Fox News have a specific brand of conservative racism. Then let this black lady, Ebony K. Williams, that was on the air at Fox News for years, discuss black dating. There's a craze here. So what I'm going to do is flesh out this craze, and I hope that you walk away today with something better in your mind. Ebony K. Williams, this woman here, let me make sure this woman right here, that was on, that was a host on the grill, bought Iyanla on, got twisted up, and now we see her far right rhetoric for what it is. Ebony K. Williams is white conservatism masked in the rhetoric of black empowerment. Tone, what are you saying? What do you mean? Let me clear it up. 3-minute video coming right now.
Tell a man how to be a man. So I will not ask you to indict men in this question. But I do want you to speak, Iyanla, to how women need to, position ourselves so that we can be in our divinity, so we can have our crowns right, how we can create and not build, when some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about. They're not earning the incomes. They're not having the resources, and some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
Would you date a bus driver? Would you date
if he owns the bus? If he owns it, if he owns the bus.
See, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Okay. Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about that. But the that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society. The bus driver, if he loved driving the bus, if he was a man of integrity, if he was good to his mama, if he treated me well, I would date a bus.
That it takes. Like, this is where my kind of small government political lean comes from. Because I'm not waiting on them to save us, y'all.
Yeah, word.
I'm not waiting on them to save us. We've been waiting a long ass time.
We all we need.
And I could, really cry about it, because if we do what my mom did, and we each do that for one other kid, that's the collective change.
Absolutely.
That's how the meter shifts. I love politics. I love politicians. I love, people that enter public spaces to change communities. But I'm not waiting on them no more. I'm not. We could ask them to account. Shar, you're right. We should have town halls. They should come in here and march in one after one, come to the Breakfast Club and do their stump. And that's wonderful. That's good. But I ain't waiting on them.
Word.
I'm not.
Well, we thank you for joining us. Yeah, man.
I want to just really directly address the outstanding question as to the suspended status of my North Carolina law license. My status is suspended for one reason. It's a very simple reason. Y'all, I haven't lived or practiced law in the state of North Carolina since 2011. In 2011, I actually left the state of North Carolina, and I left my beloved firm, the law offices of James D. Williams. Shout out to the great Butch Williams in Durham. Fantastic mentor to me then and now. And with Butch's blessing, I went to Los Angeles, California, and I spent a few years there doing a little bit of doc review, which required me to keep my North Carolina license active so I could qualify to do some discovery work in the state of California. And then in 2014, I was so blessed, as y'all saw on the first episode of Real Housewives of New York. Remember, I was running from the repo man and all the things, because all of that broadcast work that I was doing to develop a reel, right, for CNN and HLN and early hits on Fox News Channel, none of those things paid. NFL Network, those things didn't pay. And so I was doing doc review, which was about $25, $30 an hour back then, which is just the most preliminary basic legal work where you're just going through documents for discovery.
So we back. We watched this clip. In the middle, though, I want you guys to be clear that that was right-wing rhetoric. I'll bring up the principles of conservatism. One of them is free markets. Another one of them is small government. She mentioned both. And you have Charlemagne in the background say word because he don't know, because he got one unit from a night school in South Carolina in U.S. history. Many of you don't know that you're right-wing in some of your basic principles of what you understand. You're right-wing with your mama owns on SSI and your kids at a public school. You have no savings and you're a far-right conservative. You have her talking about she was unemployed, the repo man, and you done made her into some kind of success. Suspended licenses. Now, I'm not saying that ADOS don't have to go through things, but I don't need the Real Housewives of New York, right-wing conservative Fox News channel lady talking about bus drivers like they not trying every day to feed their families. I need her to understand that she don't know what she's talking about. So I'm going to do it today to let everybody know. Let me take the first caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey there.
Hey, how are you doing today? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Amanda from Atlanta.
So Amanda, Ebony K. Williams to me is white conservatism masked in the rhetoric of Black empowerment. What do I mean? So you have Charlemagne and them have her on another show where she basically saying right-wing rhetoric. And they don't know because Charlemagne is from a night school. He dropped out of high school and went to a night school. And in South Carolina, you only need one unit of U.S. history. So he's agreeing with her while she says right-wing small government stuff. Same guy that visited Tim Scott for the opportunity zones. Now when the bus driver thing come out, you try to play the other side because he don't know nothing. We have a severe problem of a lack of education and people speaking on politics in a way that they would never do with basketball. Tell Charlemagne go play basketball with LeBron James since he want to talk to me about politics. Go ahead, caller.
I agree. I just basically, it doesn't sound like it to some people, but it's a lot of double talk.
Yep.
Pulling wool over easy eyes because a lot of us think we're not educated, as you say. We're just thinking with what everybody else is saying in a social society instead of dealing with facts and looking at where we're positioned.
Come on.
And that rhetoric, she's talking in the same manner. It's like she's just knowing some of her background now too. I did read what you put on Twitter today. And I do remember, I believe that she was on Oprah some years ago, and she was saying how she was glad that they had the first strike rule because she was able to go ahead and go to law school when she had tried to steal those shoes. And I remember her saying back then that she was very happy that she was able to get basically dismissed. I'm not sure what it's called exactly, but, you know, I guess your first offense, and they give you a pass.
Wait, explain that again. What do you mean about first strike? And I'm not familiar with what's going on with her.
Not first strike, but like your first offense, criminal offense, and you get the judge kind of passes it, like gives you leniency and doesn't give you a record. So
she has a criminal record or something that you're saying? I wasn't familiar.
She would have had one at 18 when she tried to steal those shoes, those Steve Weissman shoes or what have you.
She tried to steal some shoes. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
She got caught and detained. But I remember her speaking about it some years ago. She was on Oprah's show. I don't know what the topic was about, but I do remember her from way back then, and she was saying she was glad that she was granted that pass, so to speak, from the judge, and he gave her a chance because she would not have been able to go to law school.
Hey, man, but she ain't gonna give the bus driver a chance, and I'm not just talking about a chance.
But she ain't gonna give the bus driver, and she said her mother drove the bus for 30 years.
I mean, we're dealing with a lot of craze here, and I want to keep you for a second because I want to read something to you. Again, my post as to Charlemagne and DJ Envy and this Breakfast Club, particularly Charlemagne. Again, you know, you guys can listen to what you want to listen to. The video I just played, after she says small government in so many words, he says, and we're all we need. He says, I agree in some sense, because he don't know nothing, because he's a high school dropout with one unit in U.S. history. And I'm doubling down on that for a purpose, because that's where this comes from. She's a right-wing. These are right-wing talking points. And what's happening is that we have a lot of Black folks that have decided to burrow into right-wing talking points to answer for their lack of wealth. That is some of the craziest things that I've ever seen, but she's a clear example running from the license and then the repo man and then not getting paid, but being on these networks. But then she talking about bus drivers that got paid the whole time. Ebony K. Williams is white conservatism masked in the rhetoric of black empowerment. Bootstrap nonsense. It's just crazed respectability talk. What she is saying are the common talking points on Fox News rooted in conservative thought. And I want to share something with you while I have you here to give you what I mean. This is Mike Johnson, a Republican running, I believe, in Louisiana. And what you see is his little family there. Congressman Mike Johnson is a Republican. So this is the right. We're looking at the right, right? But what he has on his website are the 7 core principles of conservatism. Individual freedom, limited government, the rule of law, peace through strength, fiscal responsibility, human dignity, free markets. We have been shut out as ADOS. We have been put in toxic environments as ADOS. She has no idea what she's talking about. She goes on the Breakfast Club, talks about small government, and the people listening agree in the background. They don't know that they're talking about the right wing because they're not educated. We're having a very, very serious discussion that is lacking education and being placed inside of emotion. So she has a right to want who she wants. Yeah, after we do politics together, after we get reparations, after we make a change where the bus driver can own the bus, what contract has she fought for that bus driver to own a bus and then get some bus contracts? None. What she actually has done is undermined him by going to work for Fox. Any last thing you want to say to the audience?
Yes, and also whenever I hear those are just key points. Whenever we hear that talk, it's the same repetitious, we say right-wing talking points. You hear from Tucker Carlson to her, to Candace Owens, to all of them. They say the same thing, and it puts all of the onus back on Black people not doing enough when we've been basically disenfranchised and cut out. It's just easier to say that to make money off of people and to garner attention, not do the real work.
Thank you so much for calling in. Woo, that was a great call to start the night. The queue is 43103883499. I think what I have to do it. I'm sorry. It's 3 minutes long, but it's the context of the show. I want you to listen now that we've talked about conservatism to the middle section with Breakfast Club. We're going to play this 3-minute clip again that gives the background of what we're talking about with Ebony K. Williams telling Iyanla she wants to date only a person that owns buses, but maybe she don't know that the bus costs $500,000. You have her on the Breakfast Club making right-wing points, masking it in Black empowerment, and Charlemagne in the background saying, yeah, because he don't know, because he's a high school dropout with 1 unit in U.S. history and night school. And you have her then admitting in the last video that she's struggling.
That you cannot teach a man or tell a man how to be a man. So I will not ask you to indict men in this question. But I do want you to speak, Iyanla, to how women need to, position ourselves so that we can be in our divinity, so we can have our crowns right, how we can create and not build. When some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about. They're not earning the incomes. They're not having the resources, and some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
Would you date a bus driver?
Come on,
y'all. Would you date
if he owns the bus? If he owns it. If he owns the bus.
That's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Okay. Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about that. But the standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society. I would date a bus driver if he loved driving the bus, if he was a man of integrity, if he was good to his mama, if he treated me well, I would date a bus.
That it takes. Like, this is where my kind of small government political lean comes from. Because I'm
This is
not
where
waiting
my
on them to
small
save us,
government
y'all.
politically.
I'm not waiting on them to save us. We've been waiting a long ass time.
We all we
and,
need.
and I could, really cry about it because
Masked and black empowerment.
if we do what my mom did and we each do that for one other kid, that's the collective change.
Absolutely.
That's how the meter shifts. I love politics. I love politicians. I love, people that enter public spaces to change communities. But I'm not waiting on them no more. I'm not. We could ask them to account. Shar, you're right. We should have town halls. They should come in here and march in one after one, come to the Breakfast Club and do their stump. And that's wonderful. That's good. But I ain't waiting on them.
Word.
Not.
Well, thank you for joining us. Yeah, man.
I want to just really directly address the outstanding question as to the suspended status of my North Carolina law license. My status is suspended for one reason. It's a very simple reason. Y'all, I haven't lived or practiced law in the state of North Carolina since 2011. In 2011, I actually left the state of North Carolina and I left my beloved firm, the law offices of James D. Williams. Shout out to the great Butch Williams in Durham. Fantastic mentor to me then and now. And with Butch's blessing, I went to Los Angeles, California, and I spent a few years there doing a little bit of doc review, which required me to keep my North Carolina license active so I could qualify to do some discovery work in the state of California. And then in 2014, I was so blessed, as y'all saw on the first episode of Real Housewives of New York. Remember, I was running from the repo man and all the things because all of that broadcast work that I was doing to develop a reel, right, for CNN and HLN and early hits on Fox News Channel. None of those things paid. NFL Network, those things didn't pay. And so I was doing doc review, which was about $25, $30 an hour back then, which is just the most preliminary basic legal work where you're just going through documents for discovery.
She a superhero, y'all. She a superhero. And y'all gonna act like y'all don't understand. Let me take a caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's your take on it?
Tone, how's everything? Pleasure to talk to you. My name is Anthony. I'm calling in from New York City, right?
Okay.
And one thing I want to say, so I work, right, as an investment banker at one of the top two largest investment banks in the world, right? And I make a pretty good salary. And I used to wonder to myself, right, how is it that my coworkers can afford to go out so many times during the week, can afford to do this, do that? And then I realized, it's the generational wealth that we have, wealth that was passed down, right? When they want to buy their house, mom and dad pitch in, grandma, grandpa pitch in. I think Black American folks need to stop voting Democratic and speaking conservatively. Black America does not have enough money to be talking about pulling yourself up by the bootstrap. It takes politics to get Black America to the next step. The government is there for a reason to do its job. Too many times, I'm sick and tired of Black people being caught up in this decadent veil with P. Diddy, Jay-Z, all these people trying to make that seem like,
Can I ask you something? Let me focus you a little bit. What's your take on tying that to her and what we saw, particularly on the middle video where she's talking about small government? How crazy is that? Isn't that just right-wing talk?
It's crazy because the one thing is she makes herself seem like this self-made individual, but she's not that, right? And that's part of that decadent deal, making herself seem more than what she is. She stole a pair of shoes for $260. If she was rich the way she said, she would not be doing that. Her wealth is pegged to a white man that is one of the heads of a private.
Oh, he broke that off. Because the allegations, the accusations, the rumors, she didn't want to take care of his kids. So all this, and when you do get this man that has this wealth, you don't want to take care of his kids. Go ahead.
No, and that's it, Tone. Like, it's often, and this is my problem, because in the field I work, and I've seen too many Black people when they get in this investment banking field try to act like, okay, well, I have this wealth now, so anyone can do it. You're not wealthy. $200,000 in New York is little to nothing.
What can I ask you a question? What is getting paid nothing to be on NFL Network? What is getting paid nothing so you can be on TV and then telling a bus driver who's actually getting paid that you ain't gonna date him? I think it's just crazy. Let me let you go. Go ahead. Go and say any last thing you want to say.
It's crazy, right? Because the thing is that, like, the average salary of a black household is $46,000, right?
We're gonna get to that.
That means if we're talking two people, that means each person probably bringing in 20 home, and that's the average black person.
So she on a Black News Network saying that average black people shouldn't be able to date. That's what she really saying. I'm gonna have to let you go because I got full queue. You came with it. Let me take another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Tom? This is Amir.
Amir, go ahead.
Listen, hey, what's up, man? Yeah, so when I kind of heard that whole conversation, I kind of knew it wasn't going to be constructive. And it's just real interesting to me. In 2020, these were essential workers. Now we're in 2023. These people need to work harder and basically hustle harder. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like, which one do you want? And it seems like it's akin and parallel how people are kind of like demonizing the homeless. Now we're basically shaming the working class for not working hard enough and becoming
far right,
becoming like CEOs of bus companies. It doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't make it. Let me frame that. Let me frame that so that everybody in the chat who has not watched Tone Talks before can shut up. Because there's a lot of people that need to shut up right now that's listening probably. What I mean by that is I'm going to put a chart on the board and I'm just going to leave it there and hopefully you can understand. If you don't understand, you ain't been watching Tone Talks. So now that you probably don't understand, let me explain. What it says is that black folks don't have no wealth. This is the Federal Reserve System's quarterly release from 2022 Q3. What you look at is white folks have almost $125 trillion in wealth. Black folks have a few trillion, with most of it in the hands of boomers' pensions, right here, 1.92, and also their homes. When you look at business, we really don't exist in business. We don't have the buses, so she's saying we shouldn't date. We don't have the buses. So somebody say, well, you got to get one. No, that's not how this works. What I'm talking about is respecting the opportunity, the advancement of black folks that are out here doing middle income work and trying hard every day, especially if you unemployed and your license suspended. Go ahead, caller.
No, really, because it really doesn't make any sense. It's like, what, in 1 minute we're screaming, young black men need to get off the street and stop hustling. Now you're screaming men that go to work every day need to do more. It really doesn't make sense. Then like when we're talking about owning the bus, what black American individuals can basically compete against Greyhound, Coach, the MTA, or these basically government run?
I got something on screen for you. I got something on screen for your point. How much does a bus cost to purchase and operate? Public transit can be a huge cost saver for commuters, but that doesn't mean it's cheap. Bus systems have significant capital and operating costs that must be taken into consideration when designing public transit systems. Capital costs. Now, this is only part of the article. You can go Google for the whole thing. For average local transit agencies, bus purchases make up the bulk of all capital costs. The fixed expenses required to get a project off the ground. The cost of each vehicle depends on a variety of features. But generally speaking, diesel buses are the most common type. A diesel bus in the U.S. costs around $550,000. If we used a hybrid, it's about $715,000. Let me give that some context. You still there, caller?
Tone, that's not even including the insurance.
Yeah, caller. But let's look at the other side of this. I got 3 different articles here. We know about it, but the new people coming in, they don't know. We got a lot of black folks that wasn't here in 2015, that wasn't here in 2018 when me and Zoe was doing the relationship shows and framing toxic ambition that is coming out of our men and women, particularly our women, when we were framing the coming wealth inequality. We're here now, and what you see is The Color of Wealth did multiple cities, but 3 of the cities I've talked about before, just to frame the context of a $550,000 bus. The middle black family in Los Angeles is only worth $200 liquid. This is according to the Color of Wealth study done by Duke and UCLA. They got investment to go to different cities, $200 liquid. The middle black family in Miami was worth $11 liquid. The middle black family in Boston was worth $8 liquid. Wait, hold on. What are you saying, Tone? I went from California to Massachusetts to Florida. So what you think it is in Mississippi or Louisiana? You are telling black folks on the griot, a black news site, that you don't want to date them, but you don't want to own that. And Charlamagne ain't gonna make you own that because he don't know enough. And everybody else ain't gonna say it, so they're not gonna talk about your license and the repo and everything else. But I'm gonna connect the dots today. And when we connect them up, what we get is crazy. CRAZY. Go ahead, caller.
But you know what, Gus, and I may not be sorry. You know what, Tone, and I'm gonna say this too. A lot of it is show off. I think a lot of times we listen to these people with an inspiration speech, just basically segue into them bragging on themselves. That's all it is.
Man, let me take another caller. Thank you so much for calling in and taking your time today. We got a whole queue full. We got everybody who wants to speak on this. I'm going to take a few more callers. Would you date a bus driver? Debate royal social media. So LA Times, during the banking crisis, during elections coming up, during a lack of reparative justice, during the OMB right now, which is the ADOS Foundation, ADOS being the group, the hashtag me and Yvette created, pushing for American descendants of slavery to disaggregate and show the numbers on black folks. We not going to cover that at the LA Times. The census, meaning adding ADOS to the census, is a national discussion happening behind the scenes. Instead, what we're going to talk about is this one black lady that worked on Fox News and how she talked about not dating a bus driver as y'all news. That's y'all news. That's what y'all want anyway. It's on your griot. Would you date a bus driver? Debate royal social media. Ebony K. Williams fires back. Motivational spirit and talk show host Iyanla Vanzant is telling women to recalibrate their standards for men after she asked a Real Housewife whether she would go out with a bus driver. In the viral clip, Vanzant last week asked the griot host, Ebony K. Williams, notice we don't talk about the Fox News. She was there for 4 years. The first black cast member of Bravo's Real Housewives of New York franchise, if she would date a bus driver after Williams shared that she felt it necessary to exude masculine energy because the standards and requisites, and I'm talking about, and we played the video, so I'm not going to go through that. Vanzant pushed back and talked about love, commitment, passion for his job. Bus drivers take other folks to work. Let me say that again. Bus drivers take other folks to work. Barbers prepare other folks for work. She didn't even look at the job. She just got to the salary, but then she didn't talk about herself being unemployed. Can I talk about it today? Can I get to it? Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
It hits home because my father's been behind the wheel of a motor coach for the last 53 years. He just obtained a status of 4 million miles driven without an accident, which is only the second person on the planet to ever achieve such a feat. And I know other men like who spent 44 years behind the wheel and attained 3 million miles. The city I live in is the home of Peter Pan Bus Line, which is East Coast. They run from New York to Boston to DC. And, just the look at the span on her face, not so much as she wouldn't date down, or in her opinion, date down, but just the look of the span and the purse lips is what really got it for me.
So let me ask you this. What do you think about her being able to use right-wing talking points and mask it in black empowerment, particularly black feminism? She's like the crown and this and that, but she's really just saying right-wing stuff. What do you think about that?
Smoke and mirrors. I really didn't even pay that part of it too much attention. But like you said, these are men and women, black men and black women, taking people to and from work. The airline refers to passengers as souls. These are people that are carrying souls, people's mothers, daughters, children, grandparents, and the hardworking men and women. It's just amazing.
Man, thank you so much for calling in. I got a full queue. I'm gonna keep on going. Thank you for the great
Appreciate
points.
you, Tone. Appreciate you.
You as well. You as well. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
What's going on, Tone? This is Trayvon from Baltimore.
What up, Trayvon? Let's keep this show pushing a little bit because I don't want to. We got an article here from Daily Mail how Real Housewives of New York star Ebony Williams claimed she was self-made, but let her megabucks fiance, this was her fiance when she got on Real Housewives of New York, pay for her ritzy pad, had her lawyer's license suspended for non-payment, and was charged with shoplifting a pair of $245 Stuart Weitzman pumps. So we talking about other people, and we got a sketchy background. What's your thoughts on it?
When I saw the interview, I immediately knew what kind of time this woman was on. Like, it's pretty glaring and obvious that she's a narcissist. And besides delusional, she's like a lot of these Negroes that go to college, and especially when they're in a sorority. Like, I think she's an AKA. It's just like they embody bootstrapperism. It's like in their DNA now at this point. And it's just, they don't count all the L's. They don't count all the L's. They don't count the repos. They don't count the stealing. They don't count the fact that they don't own anything. They don't count that the only time they ever been close to wealth is in the room with these people that they work with. And in her case, the man that she dated, which was probably the closest thing she's going to ever get to being to the level that she believes she actually is on. Listen to this.
You know what I mean? Listen to this. Listen to this. The 37-year-old was engaged to financial big shot Stephen. Let me mute you, but you still on because it's a background. The 37-year-old was engaged to financial big shot Stephen Glenn, 53, the managing director, CFO, COO at Warburg Pincus, a private equity firm. She initially presented herself as a woman torn between forging a career and longing for family, but sources say she showed little to no interest in her ex's kids. Sources said she also claimed to be self-made while sitting in a 3-bedroom apartment in New York's Four Seasons residence, paid for by her then fiance. Williams also considered her a disruptor while working at Fox News, but is alleged to have supported Trump's wall. Caller, go ahead.
Yeah, all of that sounded very disruptive. All of that, that nonsense. She sounds very disruptive. In
2002, an 18-year-old Williams was detained at a North Carolina mall for trying to steal a $245 pair of shoes or pumps. But we talking about other people in bus driving and respectability and how you gonna do this and that one at a time. We just out here trying to hustle. I'm gonna let you go because I got a full queue. Thank you so much, caller. Woo-wee. Let everybody get in here. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Juanita. I'm calling from Atlanta.
Juanita, we got the Real Housewives of New York, first ever Black housewife. Then the show that had no ratings, and they saying that some people blamed her for the ratings going down because she was on there messing up the show, talking about stuff that don't fit the show paradigm. Then she got a book up, Bet on Black, the good news about being black. So blackity black. Nothing about Adolf. She don't even understand what she's talking about. But when you look, it's only 35 reviews. So ain't nobody really checking. So what we gonna do is make a bunch of salacious comments. But we didn't realize we was gonna get stuck. So now her Twitter is protected. Can't nobody see her tweets. She running. Give me your take on everything.
The only thing I have to say about her and people like her is, first of all, I want to know have you paid your student loans off. Second of all, she just like a lot of people that I know. They live this fantastical life outwardly and inwardly. All their credit cards are maxed out. They 2 seconds from bankruptcy. And, their life is just a big lie. Those are people that go buy the outfit and then take it back the next day.
What about write the book and ain't nobody reading it? Talk about it.
Exactly. It's all smoke and mirrors, and I am not impressed.
Can I read? Let me read some little excerpts, and you tell me what you think. She said, bet on black, because what happened was, let me tell you, Iyanla remind me of you. Juanita, you called into my show enough times where I feel like I can say that. She didn't expect, because it's her show. Iyanla cut through all the little girl talk, all the pretty little girl talk, and asked her a simple question she wasn't ready for. She thought her cute answer was enough, but what it actually was showing that she's right-wing. Bet on black move. Always expand your consciousness. What does that mean? Bet on black move. Don't let anyone make you their black sidekick. Why are you in a room where you would be the sidekick anyway? Bet on black move. See, that's about the mistreatment. So what do you think about the bet on black moves? Bet on black, your presence is your intention. I don't know what she's talking about, bro.
You know what she seems like? The person that want to be the only black person in the room.
Yep.
So she can be the Negro that all the white folks say, I know somebody black and they're my friend. And she trying to be the one friendly Negro in the room. And I have no patience for that. The only thing that I have to say is, I would rather date a bus driver that's not in debt of $200,000 for student loans, okay, that knows how to treat me, than deal with a so-called doctor, lawyer, Indian chief that owes a bunch of money for student loans and for that Benz he can't afford and all that other BS.
Well, they got repo.
Think that God gives to women. Now that's just me and my personal shit. But to me, how a person treats me means a hell of a lot more than the money that they say they have. Because most of the people that say they have money ain't got shit.
But listen, don't know. That's not all you got to say, Juanita. Lord. Look, somebody put up, she always puts up great things, Cynthia, but she put up this wonderful post and she put it up from the BLS, which is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. See, one of the problems, because I'm going to keep you here for two things, because you give me great answers, is too many people are not aware of who black people are, but they black people. And they got opinions and voices. They give us the number. I gave you the Federal Reserve numbers about wealth. Now let's talk about income. I have no understanding of some black women disrespecting black men due to earnings, especially since black women weekly middle income is a mere $47 less than our men. Wait, let me go further and give you something else. All black. The median household income for black U.S. households in 2021 is $46,400. Whole household. So she's saying that these people are not people she would date. Wait, bus driver. So a bus driver makes between $35,000 and $62,000 a year, or $24 an hour. It's crazy. Somebody says this, Juanita. I drive buses in New York City and we easily clear 100K. Somebody left a post. Is she just crazy on top of it when we move like? And she just saying anything that's salacious and sounds good until you lay out the data?
No, I think that she's told herself that lie so much that she believes it's the truth.
Which is crazy. You can tell yourself that you got 3 feet, but you only have 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Yes, that is crazy. But what I'm trying to say is that she's greening this universe that she lives in. And she's dreamed it up and she's done it for so long that she really thinks that that's reality. She is so crazy, she probably don't even think she was.
Man, bro, we used to go to this thing called Meeting of the Minds. It was like 15 years ago. And it was like little young people. They was younger than me, but they used to put it together, have dialogue talks. I seen her like a couple of times. She just was just about talking and saying stuff that ain't make no sense. And since then, she been running around here trying. But I also see that black women are trying to anchor in her and they don't understand basics. I want to share 2 things with you. And I'm going to come to the queue. Please don't leave, people, because I'm going to give a couple more people a chance to talk. But Juanita, I want to share 2 posts with you, and both of them are crazy to me. But there's a specific version of craze that's going on with black men and a different one with black women. And sometimes they cross. But one person, Nia's Purpose, her response in our thread, which was generally supportive in our thread on my Twitter account about this discussion. She says, "You do know," talking about being on again. Let's frame this because I want to make sure that everybody's clear. Talking about her being on Fox for 4 years. For 4 years, the right wing Fox, the one that's conservative and would tear apart Black communities. She says, "You do not know that media outlets bring in correspondents with different political viewpoints." Her being able to convey her opinions with people who have, look here, this ain't PBS. I said this ain't PBS in a panel, and this is not Dr. Phil's reparation show. What this is her validating Fox. It is putting a black face that Fox don't deserve on Fox for her own uplift. What you don't understand is what Fox is. And what you don't understand is what being right wing is. What's your take on what this woman said?
I think first of all, that what she just said is a lie. Because all media outlets, except for maybe CBS, have a certain point of view.
Come on.
And everybody that gets on camera on that media outlet is going to espouse whatever point of view that particular media outlet has. So when you look at Fox, you know that you're going to look at news from a conservative point of view. And they may have, they go from way right wing to center right wing. Now, maybe she was supposed to be the black face up there so they could say, we're not prejudiced. We have this one black face. And maybe they let her be a little more centrist. But they're not going to let her come on there and, quote, unquote, be liberal on Fox.
Can I add one more thing? We know she wasn't because she was right wing on the Breakfast Club. She went on the Breakfast Club. I played it twice and was right wing. Small government, free enterprise. When she talks about owning the bus, that's free markets her talking. She's not talking about government contract for ADOS, which is leaning towards progressive discussions about politics. She's talking about free markets. She has no idea possibly how conservative she is. And I'm going to tell you, Charlamagne didn't either. Yeah, word, sister. Opportunity zones. Come on. Juanita, I'm going to let you go. I got a full queue. Go ahead. Give your last thoughts.
Charlamagne's ignorant and don't know what you're talking about anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I have no patience with you. I have no patience for Charlamagne, which is why I don't look at the Breakfast Club.
Come on. Thank you. Juanita be coming with it. I got a full queue. I'm going to get everybody in here. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Bob from Detroit. I just want to mention the relationship aspect of this. I've experienced it myself. These educated black women believe they are superior to black men.
Look, caller. You call in regularly. We're not going to do that today, though. We're not going to do the misogynistic attack on educated black women. What we will do is ain't misogynistic. Okay, that's fine. I don't want to argue. I don't want to have a discussion about educated black women in generalities. What I do want to talk about, though, is this educated black woman and what she specifically said. What do you think about what she said?
I think she said the same thing that on the same lines that Ice Cube dealt with the Lady of Souls. They have their own separate mindset. They're not a part of the black community as a whole. They're different, and they deserve a different type of representation of status. They need to be on the elevated status from the whole, and that's what she's looking for. I mean, she was, by my understanding, engaged with some white dude for 4 years, and she couldn't convince him to marry her. And so she having issues because she can't find somebody along the same avenue. And I don't know who the lady is, but she can look. I'm assuming she's looking for a black man, and so that she's frustrated and she's mad, and she wants somebody that's going to elevate her to the same status as Meghan Markle.
Man,
or Markle, whatever her name is, and she can't get that. She can't get that. So now she's upset, and she told her herself. She told her how she felt, what she feels where the average man, working man is. And let me say this though, there's a lot of working men who are business owners who makes the money that where I'm assuming that her guy she was engaged to with. But those type of men is not in her so-called class, so she ain't got time for them. And her and her yoke gonna be, as they said, they're gonna die alone because she can't comprehend where she's really at. So that's my.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for your point of view. Didn't mean disrespect. I just want to keep it on focus. Give everybody the respect. Somebody in the chat said she's beautiful. She has choices. Yeah, choices to pay that suspended license and get that repo man off of her. But what she don't have a choice about is talking bad about bus drivers. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? All right. Take the next caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Shannon calling from Long Beach, California.
Hey, Shannon, first time caller. Give me your take on everything because I see a lot of craze here in terms of just basic understanding.
I've been listening to you and Yvette for a long time, and so I love when you guys use the word grifter. So let's be clear, she's grifting, right? So I remember seeing her on like BET, and she was like doing this weird show with like Joe Budden, and she was talking about hip hop and all this stuff, and then she's on the Real Housewives, and so she's all over. So let's be clear, you can't serve two masters. So it's, like you already said, that her law degree is suspended. So she was really into law and justice, and for the people that she would do that, but she's also in entertainment, so she's going back and forth. So she can't then come back around and make all these, like you said, right-wing talking points and all this stuff covered up in black power, black this. She's on a grift, and that's just what it is.
Can I ask you? Let me ask you a question. I'm seeing something though. I'm seeing a significant strain that's happening. Particularly, well, it's happening among black men around their belief in self-reliance and business, and it's happening around black women around their choice, their rights to choice. And what I'm not understanding is if we live, and I know we live here, and everybody in their family knows that we live here. Let me pull it up. So I'm not talking abstract. Hold on. In a world where the middle black family in Los Angeles is $200 liquid, in Miami has 11 liquid, in Boston has 8 liquid, which is pretty much means that we're probably at like 15 across the nation. Where is everybody getting this right-wing idea of themselves from? This idea that they're going to be the next multi-million-dollar person.
For me, it's just like what you've always said. People just caught up in the deck and the zone. People don't know who they are. They don't know their position in this country. And again, I think a lot of it, like you said, just being caught up with celebrity. She is actually that, right? She is the celebrity that she's caught up in her own hype. And people just literally don't understand the data and just really don't understand their status and within this country. And that's just what it is. It's like
and everybody's looking to be celebrity to escape blackness. So like she talks all this. Understand this. Think about what you just said. So she talks all that on the Breakfast Club a few months ago or a year ago about black business. Where your black business? Or you just sell celebrity and salaciousness? Huh? Talk about it.
That's why I say she's on the grift.
Come on now. Thank you so much for calling. Got a few more callers I want to get to. Give everybody a chance to get in here. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
What's going on, Tone? It's Z. You can just call me Z. Tone, so let me give you something to consider.
Wait, Z. I gotta bring you in. I want to bring you in on something that I've seen. There's also a communication issue with ADOS folks, particularly. I've done this show for years, and I have to wonder sometimes if there's a grasp on communication versus gaslighting. Or let me say healthy communication versus gaslighting. Someone came in my thread and then brought up Kevin Samuels, because initially I was going to do this show with Zoe Williams. Congratulations to him and his family. One of his children is graduating college today, so he couldn't make it. But she brought up Kevin Samuels, and it didn't make no sense because we're not talking about Kevin Samuels, and I'm not Kevin Samuels. But it's almost like she had no ability to detach that's not our discussion. She just made her own discussion. Is there a communication issue amongst black men and black women?
as a matter of fact, so that's pretty much where I was going to go. So it's funny that you're saying this. I would argue Black people's politics. By the way, I've been listening to you brothers for years, you and Yvette. I'm not ADOS, but I am Black, and my girlfriend is ADOS. So, just putting some context out there. I would argue a lot of Black people's politics is wrapped up in their groin area, and their lack of doing politics is wrapped up in their groin area and whatever traumas, hurt, and issues that they have around their intimate love lives, right? And what you see with Miss Ebony K. Williams and what you're saying about the young lady bringing up Kevin Samuels is they can't see outside of what you're doing and not doing something. It's a very neoliberal lens that they're putting on, right? When I was in the dating world a few years ago, I kept on running into the Ebony K. Williams, accomplished sisters, and I'm not, trying to be misogynistic, but accomplished sisters that have a very skewed worldview, both ADOS FBA and Black non-ADOS FBA, that have a very skewed worldview, and their worldview is hyped up by some weird neoliberal assessment of men, particularly Black men. So you always get what you get with Ebony K. Williams, which is y'all are lacking, y'all are lazy, y'all are, and it always gets down to why aren't you performing like this? Forgetting history, forgetting slavery, forgetting Jim Crow, forgetting redlining, forgetting all, none of that matters. Start the clock at 1980. Why don't you have anything?
Yeah,
right?
but the problem that I see isn't just, and first and foremost, that's your demand, but it's like they don't understand the reality of 2023. In the final version, I guess I'll cut in the chart again that shows, look, you guys are living in 1970 in 2023. So what happened was during the Depression, the bottom 90% were taking home the same amount of wealth as the top 0.1. That means that there's extreme inequity. You come all the way forward to about 1980, and by then, because of policy, the New Deal, affirmative action, civil rights, you saw the bottom 90 taking home almost 30% of the wealth, and the top 0.1 only taking home 7%. And that's where your grandmama that doesn't speak English well, and that's her first language, was able to buy a house. Well, since Reagan, through Obama, through Trump, through Biden, there has been this shift backwards where the top 0.1 now takes home more wealth than the bottom 90. You live now in that moment. So ain't nobody gonna buy a bus unless they mama and they daddy give them the bus first, and multiple buses. How do you not know that? How are you on Fox News and don't know that? Go ahead.
And I'm almost losing my train of thought. So this is where it comes back to over and over again. Something you said, and I just remembered it. So the idea of her being conservative, I would argue some of these people might actually be liberal, except when it comes to you as a Black man. That's when the bootstraps come in. I don't think they have real principles.
I get it. Generally, that might be the case.
Not her. Yeah, she's conservative.
She's conservative. Hey man, let me get to a few more callers, man. I thank you so much, man. I thank you so much. Look, man, I want to let everybody that got in the queue get a chance. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello?
Yeah, give me your take on it.
Oh, yes. So what Ebony is saying isn't new. I don't know why us as Black people think we all have to think the same. If you go to India, Africa,
we're
Europe,
not in India,
country,
but we're not in Africa.
No one
Africa's not a country.
Is going to date
but Africa's not a country. It's a continent.
Why do you want a lawyer to date a bus driver?
I am a lawyer though, so I'm just. But Africa's not a country. It's a continent.
I can see if she ran into him, but why do you expect her? Why do you expect
because she's unemployed though. She was unemployed. She didn't have her license and she was unemployed. So I'm trying to understand that part too.
If that's the standard that she set for herself, why are you saying?
Oh no! You don't understand the discussion. This is not about a standard just set it for herself. This is about a discussion that goes broader than that because she's on a news network speaking to a bunch of Black people.
Okay, and another thing, because I know you have to go, is why y'all don't have the same energy when Black men say
Oh, because it didn't go. This went viral. That's why. This went viral. So I don't know y'all, but we're talking about this particular issue because I like the first point, even though it didn't make sense because you said Africa was a country, but we're talking about a specific person. Africa is 54 countries on it's a continent.
Because y'all try to swift and go every time it's a woman, y'all have all this energy. But
no, it's not about her being a woman. It's about her being a right wing.
Y'all always want to
Come on. I'm not finna go through this. Look, look. I need to have an educated discussion. I appreciate people calling in, but we just went through everything and we're talking about far right-wing politics. When somebody called in that was a man and he tried to talk about misogynistic points, I shut him down. But I would appreciate then you go into discussing her. But you can't. And some people are struggling with the reality of being right-wing. I give the data, they don't even know where to put the data because they've lived their life in emotion and projection and aspiration. That's not this channel. I wanted to have a discussion today to frame Ebony Williams, to frame Fox News, to frame bus drivers and how we should respect them, along with many other professions, to frame Black folks in America, to frame the griot, to frame the reality of discussing Black wealth, Black love, relationships, economics, and how we shouldn't even be talking about Ebony Williams when there's a banking crisis. This is Tone Talks. Please go to tonetalks.net, subscribe, donate, share this video. We having discussions in a way that nobody else is. Thank you.